Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. Grab a seat, pull up around the round table for another pay-per-view roundtable review. This time, we are talking about two huge shows from New Japan Pro Wrestling, The New Beginning in Hiroshima. Their first two big events since the big, huge, enormous weekend that was Wrestle Kingdom inside of the Tokyo Dome. So we got titles on the line, feuds blowing off. So let's get to it. First of all, we have with us the expert on New Japan Pro Wrestling on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, the man, the host of J News Japan, J News himself. What's going on, brother?
Ain't much, man. Ain't much. As I usually like to say, for all of those around the world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a bit tired, and it's early for me. But we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this, man. So let's start the show.
As always, and we are joined as well by the host of Dark Power, the co-host of Review of Honor. He seems to join us all the time for these New Japan roundtables because he loves him some Japs. It is the one, the only, the man of 1004 numbers, the StatKing.
What's going on, True Heel Heat Nation? Just glad to be here. Thank you guys for helping us reach 1,000 subscribers. We are continuing the march onwards with each and every one of you as we. I mean, I forget the full name of maybe J News can help me. The full name of Zack Sabre Jr.'s whole, but as we march towards to the future, that's what we're doing hand in hand with all of you fellow True Heel Heat members. Thank you for having me as always.
Of course. And we have a very special guest for this pay-per-view roundtable review. He hasn't joined us since the finals of the G1 Climax 30, but he is one of the best that one of the biggest wrestling YouTube channels have to offer. He is the fact checker extraordinaire. He has his own YouTube channel. And if J News is an expert on New Japan, I feel like this man is an oracle on New Japan because he has a wealth of knowledge under his mask. He is the one, the only Tempest. What's going on, brother?
Oh, what's going on, man? I need you to just follow me around and hype me up like that on my day-to-day life. It would be fantastic. But yes, that's right. Even though I may not be watching these shows for the WrestleTalk podcast, I still watch them because I love New Japan Pro Wrestling. So when I get to come on a show like this and discuss my thoughts, my feelings, and my opinions, it just makes me the happiest boy in Canada.
And we love it when you are happy all around the world. So thank you for joining us, Tempest. And this is a reminder to you watching, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family. Of course, there is the subscribe button or the iCard. You could press on that to subscribe. Push us forward way past 1,000 subscribers. And of course, there is the bell to press all for all notifications so you can always get notified when a video is up on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. So, J News, you are the expert on New Japan for True Hill Heat, so I am going to let you take it away. Let's start off with the New Beginning in Hiroshima, Night 1.
Night one, ladies and gentlemen. That took place from the Hiroshima Sun Plaza in Hiroshima, Japan. 1,135 New Japan fans in attendance. Match number 1, 6-man tag team action. We had the Young Lions, Gabriel Kidd, Yuya Uemura, and Yota Tsuji go up against Suzuki-Gun members, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, El Desperado, and Minoru Suzuki. 8 minutes, 1 second. Minoru Suzuki used the foundational Boston Crab maneuver to tap out Yuya Uemura, but the finish wasn't the story, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. Yuya Uemura wanted him some Suzuki. He wanted him some of that king of pro wrestling, and he got it. And he was able to stay in there, take some hits, get knocked down a whole bunch of times, but he got back up. And Yuya Uemura served up Minoru Suzuki some of that slabby beef, and it was dope to see, to say the least, and stuff like that, man. I'm not necessarily sure where the Young Lions are going to go from here. There is a new Young Lion coming into the stable in the next week or so with the new Castle Attack shows and things of that nature. But the match was fun to watch. and El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru did their thing as they usually do. But the Young Lions, this crop of Young Lions, like I've been saying for over a year now, I think, has been doing their thing, and it was cool to see them finally together as a group, to see how they would mend as a group, and they did well. So it was cool to see. But I thought that this match was a solid starter, as it usually is, because they started off with a lot of fire. I would give this a solid 3.5 stars to start the show.
All right. You really love these Young Lions.
I love the Young Lions, man. These guys entertain the hell out of me, man. They're not as mundane and as boring as they used to be, because guys really weren't allowed to do a lot of stuff before. Like, now it seems a little bit more open, and they've created a lot of personality. And ever since I started to watch like the post-match commentary stuff, or whatever the case is, the post-match interviews, especially between Suji and Gabriel Kidd and stuff like that, and how they go about stuff. It's just been a revelation for me with these guys and stuff. So it's been pretty cool. But
I would say this is probably my second favorite Young Lion crop. I think my first favorite would be Kamatishi, Sho, and Yo. The fact that those three guys were Young Lions at the same time could blow your mind, because they're some of the top guys in New Japan, whatever division they're a part of right now. So it's crazy to go back and watch. But I did like this match. I like the whole Uemura and Suzuki rivalry. Uemura is my favorite out of the Young Lions right now, and this whole feud with Suzuki is kind of confirming that. But I did enjoy this match. I gave it 2 3/4 stars. How about you, Tempest?
Well, I really enjoyed this match. Excuse me. What really sticks out to me when it comes to the Young Lions, because on shows like this where we have a bunch of 6 and 8-man tags, a lot of the times, if you're a main event level guy or an upper mid card guy in like the second or third match on the show, not to say that they phone it in, but they're definitely running at about like a 6 out of 10 pace. That's not the case when it comes to the Young Lions, because they're still hungry enough to go out there and show everything that they've got to show on every single match that they have. And when you have all 3 of them on one team, you know that they're going to bring it. And I completely agree with Jay News that I love that they're being able to show a little bit more personality. Usually that comes kind of in the later half of their tenure as Young Lions, because we've seen in the past, Kitamura had the fangs. They're allowed to add things to their characters as they progress through the system. But I really do enjoy these guys. Uemura especially is just fantastic. He's got a great look. I think he's really going to be able to go far. But I just absolutely love this match. It's fantastic. Everyone on the Suzuki-Gun side, you know how good these guys are. You don't need to talk up Minoru Suzuki any more than most people. But it's just a perfect example of putting guys that are established and are really good up against guys that are really hungry. And you put those 2 things together, and you're going to have a good match.
100%. I love the fact that they turned the trope over on its head with the Young Lions attacking Suzuki-Gun before the bell, since we always know Suzuki-Gun attacks before the bell. That was great. StatKing?
Yeah, I gave this one about 3 stars. I really liked it as well. I thought that was the thing that stuck out to me, the fact they attacked them before the bell, and it was kind of like Suzuki-Gun's like, wait a minute, that's what we do. And it kind of set the tone. It set the tone for the whole match of these guys really are hungry. They are coming in there to just do whatever they can do. We feel it's a foregone conclusion, Suzuki-Gun's going to win this, but in their minds, they're like, we can win this. We can find a way. We can figure that out. And that's, I think, the best part of it all, is to see that in their eyes, in their actions, in their movements. I'm wondering if, because of how the pandemic is shaping out, if we're starting to see them be allowed to be more expressive earlier, because they don't know how exactly excursions are going to go and all of that. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they're letting them experiment more while they're still in New Japan. But as starting matches go, really solid, 3 stars.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think the pandemic does have a lot to do with why these young lions have gotten more opportunities, being in different tournaments, showing a little bit more personality. Interesting question I do have for you guys, though. The big news, I know our boy Tempest just did his video on his YouTube channel about the whole AEW New Japan partnership, the crossover, or the Forbidden Door being open. Out of these young lions, who would you like to see on an AEW Dark or AEW Dynamite getting an excursion of sorts in AEW? I'll go to Tempest first.
Because that's a really tough question when it comes to these three guys. Because you can watch the first video that went up on my channel, Tempest the Wrestler. It's entitled AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling are working together. What to expect? And I do talk about young lions being sent to AEW on excursion, and of the ones that have been through the system recently, I named Shota Umino as someone who I would love to see on AEW, of course, because of his relationship with Jon Moxley, and I just think he's like one of the best wrestlers in the world, regardless of experience level. But of these current crop, these three guys, and soon to be four, I would probably say Uemura, because while Gabriel Kidd obviously could play a much easier to an English-speaking audience and things like that, we really don't have that Japanese male presence on AEW. Sure. We've had a bunch of guys from New Japan, but we don't have that guy filling the role of a Japanese star. And I think that would be a really good opportunity for someone like Uemura to kind of be that guy for AEW for a short-term period. And he's handsome as hell. And that goes a long way when you've got a bunch of really young guys like Jungle Boy, Kip Sabian, really good-looking guys that can appeal to a different audience. I think Uemura fits into that role perfectly.
That's actually a great point. I mean, I would go a little bit different. I love Uemura, but I think Tsuji has the size that would translate well, where instantly people will see him on television and be interested in him, because it's not every day you see a guy that size in Japan. Like, those guys are usually the guys that are in the never weight championship matchups, and I feel like that's the future for Tsuji. So I feel like that would do well for where he's at in his development. I think being in AEW would work out well to see guys like Brian Cage or Lance Archer, who do a lot with their size. I think Tsuji would benefit the most. How about you, StatKing?
I think I'd probably go with Uemura as well. He's got that. He also has that look that would fit well with the Jungle Boys, with the Kip Sabians, with the Darby Allins. He has that, and I think it would probably between these three, I think they'd actually want to stay away from Gabriel Kidd, because he's going to be able to translate to an English audience without that language barrier. So to me, it's kind of almost like he already has the leg up. Let's let one of these other guys get some experience and get some presence in an English or American audience.
Good point. J News?
I have to agree with what Tempest initially said. I would want to see Shota Umino on AEW for sure. That would be super dope to see. Honestly, man, I always have a hard time with the current crop of young lions picking between them, because they've all had their own individual lights shined upon them during all these different tournaments and stuff like that within the last year or so. So I'm one of those people, when you see those memes about, like, is it Jordan? Is it Kareem? Is it this? Pick one. They're all alive. I ain't picking shit. They're all great. So in my opinion, get all three here, put them all on different parts of the show, and see where the chips are going to fall. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, between that certain crop of young lions, and let's not forget the young lions from the LA Dojo, right? Yeah. We're talking about Clark Connors, Alex Coughlin, Carl Fredericks and stuff like that, or whatever the case is. Jet Knight is going to be amazing for people who don't understand the levity and the gravity that man has in his legs. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. But for the three of them, man, just send them all over there, bro. Just for the hell of it, and they can all be introduced as different characters and stuff like that, because if the majority of obviously the AEW audience is different than, let's say, the WWE audience, they're going to know these guys coming in but give them new characters, give them slightly different personalities and stuff, and get them involved with the different characters on the show. That's gonna be where it all plays out and stuff. Because from a wrestling standpoint, they'll all be fine or whatever. So
imagine if Shota Umino saves his stepdad / uncle from Penta. Oh god.
The best relationship in wrestling today.
We're flying.
Umino and Moxley. And I will say, I saw Umino in the UK at the end of 2019. He's got a new look, new hair. He looks like a young Takahashi. It's like scary, the resemblance that he has to Takahashi. It's great. But take it away, Jane.
I just want to say quickly, I think Umino is the next guy. I'm pretty sure he's the next ace. Like the next young guy who's going to carry the company going forward. I have nothing but good things to say about him.
He just has that charisma that you translate regardless of language. You're right.
For sure. All right, guys. Second match of the night. We've got the true heel heat favorite, Master Wato, going 1-on-1 versus Bushi of Los Ingobernables de Japón. 11 minutes, 8 seconds. I expected more out of this match. That's all I have to say. For whatever reason, all the build up, all the beefing, all the back and talk, and the jibba jabba or whatever between these two guys, it just didn't work. It didn't translate to this match. It let me down. Bushi won with the MX to get the pin over Master Wato, because by majority during the tour, Master Wato did have the leg up on Bushi. So obviously Bushi was going to win this match. So, to complete the wrestling tropes there. I mean, it's like I've said before, Master Wato, from an in-ring perspective, he's improved a lot. He's not botching anymore. He's way more fluid in there. It seems like he's starting to build good chemistry with whoever he's opposing in the ring. So from that standpoint, everything was fine. Bushi, I think, to piggyback off of what Tempest said earlier, being that this was the second match, I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to say Bushi phoned it in, but I was like, I didn't get, that level of Bushi that I've seen before. And especially if you're going to try to get the new kid over in a match during one of your, night one of your pay-per-view for the month or whatever the case is, it fell flat for me. So that's what I got to say about that. SP3, your thoughts on this match, sir?
This quite possibly may have been the least amount of entrance I've ever had in a non-tournament singles match on a New Japan pay-per-view. Because, I'm sorry, Bushi, I love LIJ, but come on, I think we can all agree the least interesting member of LIJ is Bushi. And it's just a fact of the matter. But for how much of non-interest that I have in Bushi, I have been seeing the improvement in Master Wato. So I will give him that. Still not interested in him at all, but they've been giving him a chance to kind of improve, giving him huge opportunities in main event setting, teaming with Tanahashi, teaming with Kota Ibushi. So I like that they are kind of getting him more in tune with the rest of the roster and getting that experience against people that are a lot more talented than he is. This match was all right. I once again gave it 2 3/4 stars. There was just like you said, J News. There was just something missing here.
Yeah. JP, sir, your thoughts?
I gave this one 2 1/4. It's kind of rare that we get a singles match on the undercard. It's usually just those tag matches. So the fact that they're giving them this opportunity is already kind of like, okay, well, let's see what they got. And then, I don't know, you guys are right. Something was definitely missing with this match. I did like the post match where Bushi looks like he's gonna help him up, and Tenzan's like, oh, okay, like this seems weird for Bushi to be nice, and then all of a sudden he throws him out the ring, and Tenzan's like, there it is. But I that part of it was, at least continuing that Bushi's just saying, like, why did you think you were good enough to be in the ring with me? But I forget which roundtable it was I was on with you, J News, but you said basically something along the lines of it's the way to the Grandmaster,
right.
and he's still a ways away.
He's still a ways away. Yeah.
There's a couple. Journey of 1,000 steps starts with that one step. Maybe he's on step 3 or 4 now. I don't know, but
I mean, he changed his gear. He cut his hair, so it's another level to the way to the Grandmaster. So that's just what it is with that one there.
He sounds like a Pokemon. Like he's got his first evolution, but he hasn't got to that third evolution yet.
Right. Tempest, your thoughts, sir?
Well, man, if he's only on step 3 or 4, he needs to pick up the pace. He's got a long way to go. So, like, my problems with Master Wato, they're not as pronounced as they were when he debuted. Because to me, when I saw Wato come out at the New Japan Cup semifinal, and he had the bright blue hair, and he had his gear and his pose, it seemed to me like it's like what you do when you're like 14, like you draw out on a piece of paper when you should be in math class. Like you're drawing out what your gimmick's going to look like, what your gear's going to look like, what your pose is going to be. Oh, what am I going to do for my entrance? Like all these things that are secondary to what actually happens in the ring. Like when he came out in his debut, I thought he just looked so cartoony. It felt like someone who was being like, this would make a cool look for a pro wrestler, rather than this is me as a pro wrestler. We've seen that kind of go away. I think him having the dark hair now, I think he's just kind of letting the blue go out of his hair. I think that's a big improvement. It sounds like a little thing, but I just could not take him seriously with his bright blue hair. Otherwise, I think he is improving as a wrestler. I went into this match with like really low expectations because I haven't seen a ton of Wato in recent months. Like I watched him at Wrestle Kingdom, but I haven't been keeping up with the shows between then and now. So I was like, oh yeah, it's a pretty good match. I'd probably give it somewhere around like 3 stars, but even still, like that's maybe a generous 3 stars because you look at Bushi. And Bushi is, when he's on, he's really good, but otherwise he's near the bottom of the junior heavyweight totem pole in the company. There's a lot of guys ahead of him. And to have him still be beating Wato kind of shows like where Wato is on the totem pole, and it's still really low. It almost feels like he's kind of stuck in that like Toa Hinare, like you're still kind of a young lion, like they haven't giving you that push to make you a star yet, but you're still down there, like you're still learning and everything. You've got a mentor character. So I don't know, that dynamic just doesn't really work for me. It feels like they're kind of pushing him. He's got a character, but they're not pushing him and giving him wins. But the match itself I thought was all right. It's just the people involved don't really interest me.
I guess that works out for the best right there. That works out. To the third match of the night, another 10-man tag team match. I'm getting tired of watching these, but we had Chaos members Toru Yano, Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada going up against Bullet Club members El Phantasmo, Taiji Ishimori, Yujiro Takahashi, Evil, and the one and only Jay White. 12 minutes, 8 seconds. Forgive me, I don't remember a lot of this match, to be quite honest. It was a complete and utter mess from beginning to end, to be completely honest. This match was used basically as a warm-up for the Never Openweight 6-man tag team match, which took place the night after. Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo don't really have opponents for their IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championships as of the moment. Jay White's just creating beef wherever he goes. Evil and Okada finally trying to get in their singles match somewhere down the road, either in the New Japan Cup, not that bullshit ass impromptu match we got in night 2.
We'll get to that. I got a rant.
But other than that, I think that the takeaway for me in this match is that Jay White is probably he's on top of his game ever since he's been back. There's no one better right now. Character work wise, Jay White is the man. He is the star of the Bullet Club. He is the leader of the Bullet Club. He outshines everyone when he's in the ring. It's just there's no other way to put it. And that's a rarity to say, especially when Okada's in the ring or involved anywhere and stuff like that. But Jay White's top notch right now. For the finish, Toru Yano hit the low blow into the schoolboy on Takahashi as per the regular spiel, and the Chaos faction gets the win here. I think that during this exchange, they're trying to keep Tomohiro Ishii's emotions intact because Kazuchika Okada still wanting some beef with Evil there. Yeah, man. I don't really know what else to say. Tempest, I'm going to start with you here. Your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, when it comes to these like really big tag matches, the 10-man tags, they really do just start to blend together at a certain point. And, you know, there's not a whole lot to all of this. You know, even with Jay White trying to push the never openweight 6-man titles, those titles are only so interesting.
Right.
Just because they've never been pushed as being interesting, you know, in their 5-year history. So it is what it is. But when you're seeing match like this to me is a perfect example of most of the people involved running it like a 5 or a 6 out of 10 effort. You know, like Kazuchika Okada, when he's in a big main event level match, I believe is the best wrestler in the world. But when he is just middle of the card tag match wrestler, I don't think he's the best wrestler in the world. You know, you have to be at the top level to be that best wrestler. And when he's still really good, but, you know, everything involved in a match like this, you know, just everyone's running at half speed. It doesn't really matter. And of course, you get to the end and you have a finish like we have. And it's just like, okay, you know, move on to the next match. I'm ready to see something that's actually interesting. And I'm more interested in seeing where the whole Bullet Club angle's going to end up going, because we saw a lot of tension between the Jay White side and the Evil side in the G1 Climax and then kind of leading into Wrestle Kingdom. And it hasn't really gone anywhere since. Of course, that's them doing their slow burn storytelling, which is a good thing. But I'm kind of interested in seeing where that goes more than just another Chaos versus Bullet Club rivalry.
True. Good point. The splintering of the Bullet Club on all sides of the pond is a story we have to pay attention to come 2021 and 2022. SP3, your thoughts?
I agree with Tempest. It kind of seems like they've kind of lost where they were going with that story, or that the Forbidden Door opening has kind of changed the direction of the story, because now we've been seeing more beefing between the Japan side to the American side of the Bullet Club more than the Jay White and the Evil side. So maybe that might be a little something to do with that. As far as this match, first of all, I wanted to ask Jay News, because Tempest said he didn't watch a lot of the shows, you know, before Wrestle Kingdom, after Wrestle Kingdom, before these shows. But you, sir, you watch all of these shows.
Mm-hmm.
Man, those Road 2, did you feel like you were watching the same show over and over and over and over and over again?
Listen,
like I looked at the lineups and I was like, well,
almost
this
exactly
is like the same match 4 times in a row.
4 times in a row, bro. I watch it now more for the post-match interviews than the actual matches, and the storyline efforts more than anything else, because I'm just more involved with that. But from a match quality standpoint, unless it's like JP said earlier, unless it's like a semi-main or a main event, or if something sticks out to you during a match, like everything just blends together, bro. And that's the downside of all this stuff. Even as a New Japan fan, when COVID hit and they had to change the format of the shows, I was ecstatic because we weren't getting those freaking tag matches anymore. And to me, the pacing of the shows and the way that the matches worked out were much better with that COVID format, then back to the traditional New Japan Road to Show format with 6-man and 8-man and 10-man tag team matches. And I was like, well, what happened? Like I watched all of these shows with American commentary for like the first time ever, because usually free English commentary comes in like a day or two later sometimes, and I watch some of the shows with Japanese commentary. And to pay attention enough to Kevin Kelly by himself, Sid, he's nearing that list again. Sid, he's nearing that list again, and I'll just leave it there. But I wanted to make a point where Kevin Kelly had said something to the extent of it had to do with storyline where there had been a draw earlier in like 2 previous shows from the week before, another draw that week, and then a third draw or whatever. And I'm like, there was a draw the week before? I forgot there had been a draw in a match that involved Sonata and Ibushi. And I was like, I don't remember that at all. And that's why I didn't remember. All these matches blend in so much because there's so many people involved. Nothing is important in that sense. And the build-up, from a storyline standpoint, is just like you have to pay attention to the post-interview stuff. Yeah. Because the matches don't give you much. But JP, sir, your thoughts on this match and how it went about for you?
If things aren't feeling important, it just means that New Japan is not protecting its investment. And Jay White is that investment. Mm-hmm. And he has been proving that over and over again. This, again, is just a match that is more about tomorrow or the next night than it is really about this night. And I mean, it does what it needs to do, and that's really all that I guess we can ask for, is to set up the little bit. I guess if we think about it, it's from the perspective of all those people, unless that are attending these Road to shows, unless they're also watching New Japan on TV, the match is new for them, right? And yeah. I guess for the audience that may have purchased 2 tickets, if they for the back-to-back nights, if they haven't been following, or whatever the case may be, you have this match to just be like, this are all the things that you need to know. It's like New Japan's way of doing a promo video, right? Which works, but doesn't really help if you're while you're watching the match, right? So yeah, like I feel
to cut you off. I'm sorry, JP, but I feel like from a Western, because of the American way of wrestling and stuff like that, and it is weekly shows, right? You're televising these weekly shows, and they try their best to progress the storylines. We know where we're at with the WWE and stuff like that. AEW does a tremendous job, at least I think, with their storytelling ability from one week to the next. It's like you understand you have weekly TV, like they're on SI TV, they're on Samurai TV. So it's like, yeah, you have weekly TV, but yet you still do these shows with all these characters, and it's the same match over and over again. That's where the downside falls into New Japan there and stuff like that. But JP, as you said, yeah, the match did what it was supposed to do. Protecting the investment, as you said. Jay White, 7-year contract he signed about 3 years ago or something like that.
2018. So it's going through 2020, 24, 2025. The only other thing I wanted to say about this match, I gave the match a star and 3/4, not even 2 stars, a star and 3/4. But to double down on what Tempest said about, Jay White trying his darnest to make us care about the Never Openweight Championship. But I don't know if you guys or people watching are familiar with the story of Cinderella. The wicked stepmother in Cinderella. She treated her own daughters like shit, but she treated Cinderella worse. That was the whole point. New Japan treats their tag team titles like the evil stepmother treated her own daughters. The Never Openweight title is Cinderella. They drag that through the mud. They make that clean the house of New Japan. They don't care about those titles, and that's why I've been an advocate about the double straps. I think keep them together because it's done a lot for the Never Openweight Championship. It's done a lot for the U.S. Championship because New Japan has way too many titles that they don't even care about.
I mean, even 2 years ago, would we have thought that Tanahashi would be the Never Openweight Champion? Even last
No.
year, we have really thought like maybe we'd be like, okay, maybe down the road with the way they're going, the openweight title could be that big. But I mean, I don't think we really thought that it would be on the ace. But
that's what I said. That matchup, before the matchup even the bell rang, I was like, this match is so huge for the never openweight title because it's in the main event. It's with Tanahashi. This just elevated that belt to like secondary status.
Yeah, very true, very true. What else do we have here? So this mess of a 10-man just went about. Fourth match of the night, tag team match here. Tomoaki Hanma and God himself, Kota Ibushi, went up against members of Los Ingobernables de Japón, Tetsuya Naito, and as we know, my main man Sanada. This match went 11 minutes, 2 seconds. Naito hits the Destino on Hanma for the I believe the 15 count. I think is what they counted. It was 15.
Yes.
For the win. I honestly, I'm gonna keep this short. I did understand the whole thing with Hanma going after Naito, him wanting to retry and try to get that singles match with Naito. Hanma's just not on that level. I don't necessarily understand why they even tried that. It would have been better served to continue to follow the storyline of Yota Tsuji trying to get those 55,000 likes on Twitter to get his match against Naito. I would have liked to have seen that instead of Hanma versus Naito. And Kota Ibushi and Sanada with their friendly opposition against one another. There's no real beef here. It's just an immense amount of respect between these two men. And you saw it throughout the whole Road 2 shows. You saw it at the main event on the 11th. I think two of the best wrestlers in wrestling today. I have to say this, that I've seen it a couple of times now via Instagram and other forums where people have said that Sanada is a boring wrestler, right? And
oh boy.
Look. I usually come to the fervent defense of Sanada. All I have to say is this: if you don't pay enough attention to what the Cold Skull is supposed to be, that's not necessarily my fault. Dude is still one of the cleanest, most crisp wrestlers on the planet. I don't find him boring, just on the sense of what he can do in the ring. Right now, is there a lot of character to Sanada? No. But when he does get a microphone in his hand and his interaction with the fans, like, I find it amazing that his interaction with the fans is the way that it is, but yet people find him boring. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, there's a disconnect there. So it's like, all right, well, the dude's over. So I'm not sure where the boring comes from. But maybe you guys can help, because I don't know. You know, I don't have my pulse on that. JP, start with me here, man. What were your thoughts on the match and what I just said?
I think that this was another case of properly protecting the match of tomorrow. Because there is no real, to your point, there is no real animosity between Ibushi and Sanada. We want to see them lock up for the sake of seeing them lock up and for the chance of maybe Sanada winning. But there's no like, it's not like a Jay White Ibushi situation where you want to see Ibushi beat up Jay White. I mean, if you don't like good wrestlers like Jay White, but it was just a good way of protecting that main event. Now, when it comes to the issues of Sanada being boring, first off, there was Bushi slander and there was Sanada slander. Now, somewhere Nessa's ears are burning, but he's just, this LIJ is just not going to be good. But I think it's just more about the idea of, like, I guess a great way to look at it is the feud with Evil. We were waiting for Sanada to finally snap for so long that when he did, it was amazing and it was beautiful. And to see him get that revenge on somebody who had hurt him so bad was phenomenal. But now it's like he's it's like Cool, Calm, and Collected is just back in the building, and it's not that he's boring in that sense. It's just that everything is so calculated. Everything comes across as too calculated. Every move, even the way he challenged Ibushi, came across as too calculated. Like he's just like, hey, I respect you. Like it's just like that just how he came into the ring. Like a normal person's gonna drop him, right? But I guess like, okay, yeah, there's mutual admiration, fine, whatever. But it just comes across as though it's a level of calculation that you should expect for a heel, not a face. So I think that might be the disconnect with some of the audience.
Gotcha. That makes me understand it better. Like listening or reading people say that he's boring, and I'm like, yeah, I understand where the disconnect is, but boring's not the word I would use necessarily.
I guess because the way I keep picturing it is he is a calculated face Randy Orton, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But a calculated face Randy Orton, nobody wants to watch.
See, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I got you. SP3, sir, your thoughts.
Sonata just, I don't want to say he's boring. He just lacks emotion. Like
But that's what it is. That's the Cold Skull way.
I get it. I get that you're a Sonata mark. I get that StatKing is a Jay White mark. If Takahashi was on this show, Tempest would be waxing lyrically about the Ace. I get we all have our favorites, but the issue with Sonata is he lacks the facial expressions and the body language that a Takahashi and Okada. Why they've become so popular with the American audience is because regardless of the language they speak, they know how to speak the language of wrestling over a long period of time. So you could put them in a main event, a 30-minute main event, and it translates well because they fill in the gaps in between the big and major spots with the body language, with the story they're telling in the ring. I feel like Sonata doesn't do that. So when he's in a match that's over 20 minutes, I'm instantly bored because there's no filling in the gaps in between the big spots. I know we're going to see a moonsault for Sonata. I know we're going to see the skull end. I know we're going to see a plancha. I know we're going to see the when he puts them in the whole trap and kicks them in the ass. I know all. Yeah, Paradise. I'm sorry. It escaped my mind at the moment. But I know we're going to see all those spots. But for over almost 30 minutes, that's not going to translate well. I feel like Sonata is a guy that needs to be in like the upper mid card. Put him in a semi-main event that goes 15, 20 minutes. He's great, and he will remain to be as over as he is. But when you keep putting him in these main events, keep putting him in matches that are over 25 minutes long, that's when the disconnect between him and the audience and the people that are saying that he's boring, that's where it comes into.
Gotcha. Tempest.
So my thoughts on Sonata, because I think everyone's kind of brought up really good points individually, but for me, the issue is not that Sonata is boring. To me, it's that Sonata is uninteresting. He, to me, as a character, doesn't give me a reason to be invested in his matches. And that can work if you're having matches in the G1 Climax and that sort of thing, where you're there to see good matches, and the story is that you're trying to win the tournament, right. So there's already a story built into the matches. But for me, Sonata just isn't an interesting character on his own, whereas someone like Kota Ibushi just has so much character. There's so many weird quirks and histories about him and different guys, him and the title, him and just himself. There's so many different angles to look at a guy like that. Whereas Sonata, I feel like he needs an opponent that he has history with to bring that out of him. I really enjoyed his match with Evil, but I think his best match that he's ever had was his match in the G1 against Okada in 2019. And why was it so great? It wasn't just because they're two great technicians having a really good match, but there was a reason for you to care. Because these two, it had been established that there was a rivalry between Sonata and Okada had just beaten him. And now finally you want to see that Sonata could have this chance to win. And because it's the G1 climax, it's feasible that he could beat the champion. You get a match like this, and I don't think anybody really thought that Sonata was going to win.
Right.
So already you've got that disconnect where you're watching it because it's a great match, but you don't really think that Sonata has a chance of winning. So that's always a tough hill to climb as it is. And then Sonata just kind of piles onto that by not being particularly interesting as a character. He's a great wrestler, and that's where I agree and disagree with StatKing about the Randy Orton comparison, where I think that's really apt comparison, but I think Sonata delivers in the ring a lot more often than Randy Orton. When Randy Orton tries, of course, he can be one of the best wrestlers in the world, but it's just how often does he try? But whatever, we're not talking about Randy Orton, we're talking about Sonata. And I think Sonata in the ring is still one of the best wrestlers in New Japan. He just doesn't have that full package of charisma and character work that you need to be a top guy right now. You know, he's cool and calm and collected and everything, but it's like if you look at someone like Ishii, where he's the stone pit bull, he doesn't have emotion until he gets in the ring, but if you hit him a few times, he'll start to fire up a little bit. I don't feel like if you hit Sonata, he's going to fire up. You know, he just kind of stays cool, calm, and collected. And that's fine, but you need to have that moment where you have the explosion of character and emotion, and I just don't think he does that.
Gotcha. Better understood for me now going forward with everything that's going on, these blasphemous thoughts. And then let's talk about the main event, the fifth match. I'm sorry, the fifth match of the night here on night one. We have the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team title match between the Gorillas of Destiny, Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga of the Bullet Club versus the Dangerous Tekkers, Zack Sabre Jr. and Tai Chi. So I, in this match, was heavily invested and interested because of, one, the dichotomy of all the comedy that's come from Tama Tonga and all these comedy bits with the Iron Fingers, Tai Chi being scared to death about death rising again if he doesn't get these fingers back. Zack Sabre Jr. just not necessarily knowing what to do about Tai Chi and stuff like that. And Tonga Loa just kind of playing the background and stuff like that, because Jado, the master heater that is Jado, still getting his kendo stick spots in, and Kevin Kelly always pushing Jado because he's looking great nowadays and stuff like that, and whatever have you. But this match damn near went half an hour. For one, I didn't expect that, right? Oof. And two, because of the bits of the entertainment in the match, right? There was still a really good wrestling match with even with all the entertainment, and I was like, this is different for New Japan. This is like, at least for me, and I was like, I've seen comedy matches before, because obviously we have guys like Yano and New Japan, but this level of like over the top character work, and then the bits of comedy, and then like the version of trans Tai Chi with the fingers and him getting like possessed at the end of it all. I'm there like, man, what are they trying to do? Like, are they trying to capture a new audience with this sort of a match? Or are they just trying something different in this case? That's really what I came away from with this match. Just to go over the results here, God retained. It was a disqualification because Tai Chi did go crazy with the Iron Fingers. He was attacking everybody. Everybody got hit. Everybody got lit. It didn't matter who was in the ring. Everybody got hit. Exactly. Yeah, SP3.
The match itself, I gave 2 3/4. That seems to be like my rating for most of the matches on this card. The last match I gave 3 stars to. That was actually pretty good with Naito and Sonata versus Honma and Ibushi. But this match, 2 3/4, because it didn't need to be nearly 30 minutes. Like, if we were gonna get that result, the one thing that pisses me off to no end is being reminded of Jeff Jarrett's TNA. And the fact that Jeff Jarrett used to have 20, 30-minute matches that end with all these clusterfuck finishes, guitar shots everywhere, everybody's interfering, and then Jarrett wins in the end. The only thing worse than that is to have no finish at all after 30 minutes, and that's what we got here. I will say, though, over the past year, no one has changed my perception of them more on the New Japan roster than Taichi. Taichi is one of the most interesting characters in New Japan because he's the complete opposite of Sonata. He is all emotion. He just brings, when he's in the ring and he gets hit or he's in a striking battle, if you see it in a hard-hitting affair, he brings all his emotion out, all his frustration of being a guy that's been passed over so many times. And for something that's been gifted to him by one of his idols in Zuka, and the iron fingers being stolen away from him brought out a whole different angry side of him that I just loved in this match. And I really like Dangerous Tekkers as baby faces. Like, it's weird because a year ago when they were going at it with the Golden Aces, I never would have said that. I never would have thought that I would say that Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. actually make probably better baby faces than they did as heels. Their heel work is great, and they were great as heels, but I feel like they're even better as baby faces because both guys can make the comeback, both guys can make the hot tag, and the crowd seems to be behind both guys. So that's why I did enjoy parts of this match. It just didn't need to be 27 minutes. GOD is a good tag team, but when you put them in this type of match length, the faults in their game kind of stand out a little bit more. And I think that's why we saw it here, and that's why I didn't rate it as high as I should have.
I hear you. Tempest, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I mean, I think you've hit the nail right on the head when it comes to the match length. New Japan still, to me, does this. They don't do their crazy DQ finishes that often in big matches, but when they do them, they still feel the need to have the matches be really long. You know, like it wasn't a DQ finish necessarily last year, but when Evil and Tetsuya Naito had their match at Dominion where Evil won the championship, you know, it was just a really long match with a really clusterfuck finish, and it takes away so much of the drama and emotion of the match when you just kind of go, oh, okay, whatever, This match would have been so much more entertaining if it was like 10 minutes instead of 30, because it's so long for a match to end without a proper finish. I completely agree. I love Taichi now. I remember I said this to my tag team partner when we met like the first day of wrestling school, and we were talking about New Japan, and he had said like, oh, there's no bad wrestler on the New Japan roster. I was like, yeah, there's Taichi. Taichi sucks. And 6 months later, I was like, I might have been wrong. I like Taichi now. And I never thought I was going to be able to say that. And especially now, like, Taichi brings it. And Zack Sabre Jr. as his partner, they work great as a tag team. I really like that side of things. But to me, GOD is just kind of stale right now, you know? They haven't had anything. They're kind of like Sonata in the same way where I was like, I don't have a reason to care, you know? When they were introduced as a tag team back in like 2017, when Tangaloa really started being introduced more, and they were facing, you know, I almost called them the Viking Raiders, good lord, when they were facing War Machine and things like that was really cool. It was really interesting. They were new and they were fresh, but they've won the titles so many times now, and every title reign is more or less the same. It's just like, oh, they're like the placeholder tag champions. Let's put the belts on them, and they can just carry them until we have someone new to take the belts off of them. And I don't find that particularly interesting. You know, they've had their weird little comedy rivalry here with Dangerous Tekkers. But to me, I still like, if you have comedy in one match with Toriano, that's fine. But I don't really want to see wacky comedy in a promoted championship match in New Japan. And that's just me, especially if it's like about a pair of gloves that's possessed and things like that. That to me is just kind of going over the line of believability that I don't really want to see in New Japan. As a match, I thought it was good. You know, it was a good match, but it needed a better finish if it was going to be this long.
I have to make one comment, and I just thought about this while you were talking, Tempest. I feel like this match would have gone way over if this would have been during what the hell? The Good Brothers pay-per-view, Sid.
Talking
Shop-a-mania.
This would have worked fantastically during Talking Shop-a-mania. Not a New Japan show. But JP, your thoughts, sir?
I just want to start off by saying both of you have referred to Toriano as a comedy wrestler. Please put some respect on our KOPW 2021 official champion's name. But also,
you should have done the whole big intro where they say all the different comments.
But also, no, I think part of the reason you kind of hit it on the head about this would have been good on Talking Shop-a-mania, and it's interesting that you bring that up because it feels almost as though GOD is in New Japan right now because that's where they are, but really their focus is in Jacksonville and elsewhere. And it's kind of like this was a good match in the sense of they found a way to make it very different than the Wrestle Kingdom match. Mm-hmm. And, you know, even like when you start adding in things like, oh, he's opening a bag and it's a loaf of bread, or it's a woman's bra, or just all the different things that are in there. And every single time it's just infuriating Taichi more and more and more. Like they found ways to create a storyline, to create things that made the match feel a lot different than the Wrestle Kingdom match. But at least with the Wrestle Kingdom match, it was who is going to finally not be able to kick out of something? Who is not going to be able to find that strength inside of them? Whereas this one, it was kind of just played for the laughs almost, and that felt a little off. This had been cut down by, this was almost 30 minutes. If this had been cut down by 10 minutes, I think it would have been great. But yeah. For what it was supposed to do, I guess it worked. I don't know what exactly they're trying to do when it comes to maybe getting a new audience or what exactly the case may be. But it seems as though this entire pay-per-view just needed needed like something ticking down to some kind of high voltage, something just to get some energy up. So
I will say quickly, if the loaf of bread was dropped in the ring and like Satoshi Kojima came out, picked up the bread and just left, 5-star match for me. But that didn't happen, so.
One last thing I will say. GOD seems to be playing this role. They're playing the old Gallows and Anderson, Young Bucks in the junior tag division role, where if they don't have anything else to do, they put the tag team titles on those guys. The difference, Gallows and Anderson always had pretty good matches in New Japan. The Young Bucks had phenomenal matches in the junior tag division. GOD doesn't. That's the difference. Like, that's why them just continually getting the tag team titles stands out as a glaring hole in New Japan more than it did with those two tag teams.
It's funny because, you know, like 2-3 months ago, we were like, yes, they finally won the World Tag League. Yes, like this is, you know, like they came short, like, all right, we're looking forward to Wrestle Kingdom. And then like a month or so later, it's like, oh, well,
if you're giving them this shtick to do, right, instead of them being on a mission and them being powerhouses and them having this focus to win the tag league and then win the, you know, they're a better tag team when they have a focus, when they have that thing that they're striving for. If you let Tama Tonga go too far off the freaking deep end with his comedy, it's just going to turn on to rubber chickens and baby baseball mitts and things of that nature or whatever, to say the least. I have to agree with what was said about these guys with their minds being in Jacksonville more than their minds being in Japan. I think they've been looking for an opportunity to come home for a long time, and they haven't had it. And now that it might be available to them, I'm not sure what version of GOD we'll get. But them coming to the States is a big time possibility at this point, being that the boys do live in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Being both of them. So we'll see. But let's
completely unrelated. I was rewatching the CM Punk Daniel Bryan matches for the WWE title back in the day, and there was a throwaway squash match where Camacho came out with Hunico for Ryback to destroy them. Mm-hmm. And then for a moment I was like, this person looks really familiar, and then I was like, oh shit, that's Tonga Loa. I was like, it is very underrated how much this person changed from being that.
Yeah, he was playing the Dominican Poppy, and now he's his father's son. But it is
one of the few people to wrestle on an NXT takeover first and then a Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah. There's only like a couple of people that have done that, Juice Robinson being another.
Yeah. Gotta hand it to
him. For real. But let's talk about the best match of the night here. The main event, Hiromu Takahashi of Los Ingobernables de Japón versus Sho of, I'm not even sure if you can say Sho is part of Chaos anymore.
He is.
Yeah. After this whole road to 35 minutes, 38 seconds, longest IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match to take place. Yeah, look, these guys are hella talented. There's no debating that. But yet again, and not to the degree as to what I said earlier, because obviously these guys are not Bushi and Master Wato. But at the end of the day, for me specifically, I expected more out of this match, and I did not get it. The length of time of a match should not matter. The emotion that you have to invoke in the fans, what you do in the ring and things of that nature, that's what matters, especially in the junior heavyweight division matches. I didn't get what I felt was their best in this match. So not to say that it was a complete letdown, because it was a good match either way, but I thought like it never hit the fever pitch that I thought it would hit. If I can say it like that. Takahashi retains here. He's still the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. But those were my thoughts. SP3, what do you think about this matchup?
35 minutes plus, the longest IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship matchup in history, and it feels like New Japan is doing their WWE, we just made history. Now they seem to be in that trope of just keep trying to have this historic match length, and they did it right the first two times this year. Like the Ibushi and White setting that record, that felt right, and it felt like the right amount of time for the story that they told. The Never Openweight Championship matchup with Shingo and Tanahashi, that was over 30 minutes. That felt just the right amount of time, and that's why both of those matches are 5 stars. This match was great, but I do agree with Jay News. It could have been greater if they cut off like 5 to 10 minutes of this matchup. It would have been better. And I feel like their Best of Super Juniors match was better than this match. I gave that match 4.5 stars. I give this match 4 stars. Like I said, it was a great match, a very good match. Both guys worked to their. I feel like Hiromu Takahashi, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's my favorite wrestler in the business today. No one brings what he brings to the table. The level of insanity that he can get in matches is just bar none. So I always enjoy a Hiromu Takahashi match, and I love Sho. I feel like Sho is the Kushida replacement. Mm-hmm. He is the guy that is going to fill in that void of Kushida that's been there for 2 years, but he's not there yet. But these guys could have gave us a little bit more. I just feel like the match length to have the longest IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match hurt them in the long run.
So I wanna interject this real quick because we were talking about the door being open between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Does anyone else here want to watch a match between Hiromu Takahashi and Darby Allin? Raise their hand.
Absolutely.
Anybody?
There's two Hiromu matches I want to see more than that though. I want to see Hiromu versus Rey Fenix.
Sure.
And I want to see Hiromu versus Pac.
Yeah.
Give me those two matches before that. The person I want to see versus Darby Allin, I think it was Vert Vixen of AEW Dark who said it on True Hill Heat 112 this week. She said Darby Allin versus Minoru Suzuki, and I was just like, that's just perfect. A guy that loves to get hurt and loves to give up his body against a guy that loves to punish people. Like, that's just a match made in wrestling heaven.
Can you just imagine Darby Allin going for the coffin drop and Minoru just like steps out of the way? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
he'll go for the coffin drop. Minoru Suzuki steps back, puts him in the chokehold, then he gets him the God style pile driver. It's over. But JP, your thoughts on this match, Takahashi versus?
So it's weird. This match felt good to me, but at the same time, it didn't grab me until Show kicks out of the time bomb. I don't know what it was about it. And the thing was, and maybe it was because the other one went 29 minutes, almost like 30 minutes. This one, despite the fact that it was 35, felt like it moved quickly. And it felt, and then so when he kicks out of that time bomb, I'm like, in my mind, I was just like, I like Show. I'm like, could he actually pull this off? And that was where it finally grabbed me, because coming into it, I was like, big fan of Show. Shout out for helping me winning the fantasy league. But like, I'm not expecting him to beat Hiromu in this moment. Like, this just didn't feel right to be when they're gonna end Hiromu's reign. So it felt like a standard kind of junior heavyweight match, because I didn't have that level of, could this be the moment where Hiromu's going to lose and Show is finally going to win the title, until that final that kick out from the time bomb, and then Hiromu just was like, nah, fuck you, and puts him away. But yeah, I think 4 stars is a good spot for it. I might even, a part of me almost wants to drop it down to 3 3/4, just because of how fast it felt it moved. That was my star rating for it, 3 3/4. I couldn't give it a 4 just because it didn't hit that. Like I said, it didn't hit that fever pitch for me. So I was like, this is weird, because most Hiromu matches hit a fever pitch, and I was like, and it just, for me, it didn't hit it, and I was like, okay, I guess something's off here or whatever. But Tempest, sir, to round out night 1, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, Hiromu Takahashi is also my favorite wrestler currently going in the business right now, so I do have that kind of attachment. But I do agree, I think this match suffered from a couple of things. One, again, it was too long. I think if you shave 10 minutes off of this match, it'll be significantly better. But additionally, we kind of talked about it earlier in the Sonata match on night 2 with Ibushi, where I felt like no one really thought that Sonata was going to win. I felt the same kind of way with this match about Show. These shows that come right after Wrestle Kingdom can fall into a weird place sometimes, because these will just be like, the new champion's first title defense, or something like that, where it'll be not necessarily an easy title match, but you're not going to see like Okada Tanahashi on this, aside from the one time that it did happen with the Shaka and Osaka and all that. But that was a different situation. That was when Okada was new. For something like this, you don't have the really huge title match take place on the show right after Wrestle Kingdom. It'll be an easier title defense, and then the big match will happen at, Sakura Genesis or at Dominion or whatever, and give their champions a lot longer of a reign to build up to. And for this match in particular, I thought if the crowd was actually able to cheer, it would have come across much better, because you can be really excited for this match, and in junior heavyweight matches in particular are just so much faster that you really need just that buzz of crowd noise throughout the whole thing. Just be like, oh my god, that just happened, what's going to happen next? Oh my god, a poison Rana off the top rope. Oh my god, this is crazy. Just one thing after another. And you don't have that during this pandemic. And this was a match, and I thought the main event on night 2 was also affected by it, where if they were just able to cheer and scream and make all the noise, that it would have bumped this match up like a half star.
And earlier to your point of Janie, was about Kevin Kelly. Kelly's like reaching at times to be like, this crowd is thunderous. Do you hear them with these thunder clappers? Like they're stopping there. I'm like, no, nobody's hearing this. Like you're physically there and you're probably not actually hearing this. Like come on, buddy.
This is why I always, when it came before he entered a certain sphere for me speaking about Kevin Kelly, this is why I preferred Japanese commentary, Milano AT, and everybody in between, because I didn't understand a word they were saying, but the emotion in their voices transcended everything, and it just made everything feel better. Kevin Kelly doesn't do that for me. Now, mind you, we did get excellent commentary from El Phantasmo throughout this whole Road to New Beginning tour. That was excellent.
He was incredible on New Beginning in Nagoya. Like he was on another level. Like that was like a Bobby Heenan type performance at New Beginning in Nagoya.
It was definitely something different. I mean, obviously he's got years left in the freaking ring, so it's not like he's going to be on commentary anytime soon. But
he retired again from commentary.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he retired from commentary. That's right. They tried Zaki on night 2. That didn't go over very well at all. But it is what it is.
So yes, that has been our pay-per-view roundtable review for New Japan Pro Wrestling, The New Beginning in Hiroshima Night 1. Comment down below in the comment section what you guys thought about Night 1 of The New Beginning in Hiroshima. Who was your MVP, LVP, match of the night? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, like this video, share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family. Of course, there is the iCard and subscribe button. You can click on that to subscribe if you haven't already. And you can press the bell to always stay notified when we go live right here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel or when a new video drops. And join us tomorrow as we drop our New Japan Pro Wrestling, The New Beginning in Hiroshima Night 2 pay-per-view roundtable review. And of course, show your support to True Hill Heat by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So, for the great Tempest of WrestleTalk, for the StatKing, for J News, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been New Japan Pro Wrestling, The New Beginning in Hiroshima, Night 1, pay-per-view roundtable review. We are signing off until next time.